Alright, I done made it 3 minutes in on the first take, and then this dadgum AC motor came on and drowned me out and screwed it up. So I'm going to start over. I'd rather do it in one take as to do that whole cutting and splicing thing. It's a big headache. I'd just soon shoot the video and give it to you guys in one shot. What I want to talk about today is a piece of information that I found on the internet on the government's website. Now, you might say, oh, it's on the internet, you can't believe it. Well, it's on FBI.gov, okay? I can provide you with a direct link to the web page where this bulletin is listed if you want it. If I can figure out how to copy and paste it, I'll put it into the note bar down below. But it's called FBI Law Enforcement Bulletin, entitled Sovereign Citizens, a growing domestic threat to law enforcement. That's the name of this bulletin. All right, and they're distributing it to the field agents so that they'll be aware of this whole sovereign citizen thing. Now, to be perfectly honest, sovereign citizens was a new thing to me as of about yesterday or day before. I'd never heard of one before. These guys don't believe the government's legitimate, that the government is operating outside of its authority, and it's basically, it went bankrupt in 1933 when it come off the gold standard, and it's somehow selling its citizens abroad to monetize its debt. And I'm assuming that's because of the tax burden. I ain't real sure on how that works, but that's what they believe. And because of that, the government considers them, under ideology, the FBI considers sovereign citizens extremists as comprising a domestic terrorist movement. Now, they've just labeled them domestic terrorists. More on that in a minute. The indicators that you might be one of these citizens that they're worried about is listed. They've got a little list of them, and the very first one lists about 4 items that are real important to everybody that listens to my videos or is basically a free person, because the first thing that a sovereign citizen suspect, I guess you say, because it's under this section called indicators, the first item is they reference the Bible. That's right. If they reference the Bible, then they're potentially a sovereign citizen. The second thing that they will do is reference the Constitution. Don't boo that. No, don't reference that document that gives you all of them special rights that are inalienable and given to you by God. Oh yeah, that guy in the first things you might reference. Because, if you enact your Fourth Amendment right to illegal search and seizure, then you might be a sovereign citizen, and that's comprising a domestic terrorist. See where this is going in a real fast hurry? All right. The third thing, I'm reading off some notes here so I wouldn't forget. The third thing that it referenced was Supreme Court rulings. There's been a lot of rulings in days gone by that support, like the Second Amendment and the Fourth Amendment, and of course the First Amendment, right to free speech and right to peaceably assemble and all that. But yes, they listed under ideology that they're considered a domestic terrorist movement. And then the indicators, the first one, now after the first item on the indicators, they had stuff like they'll write their name in all capital letters, and they'll only use like red crayons, or they use their thumbprint as an identifier, or write SLS after their name, which means sovereign living soul. I'd never even heard of none of this stuff before. It's kind of interesting. I think I've seen the thumbprint one time at a trade show, but I didn't realize what I was looking at until I seen this like 2 days ago. But years ago, like I said, I thought it was kind of dumb to have a red thumbprint, but apparently that's what it's about. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that these two things tie basically any Southern Baptist in as a potential domestic terrorist, basically. Alright, so the whole Bible Belt is full of terrorism that needs to be eradicated by the National Defense Authorization Act. Isn't that great? Now the military can grab someone suspected of domestic terrorism and hold them indefinitely, which means you get life in prison with no trial, no lawyer, no phone call, no nothing. They stick you in a freaking hole somewhere until they decide to kill you. And no one can say nothing about it. So now that we've seen all of this, I mean, what's left? All we got is, the next thing we'll see is the president suspends elections and decides he wants to be king of the world. What's to stop him? I mean, anybody that says anything that contrary to his will can be listed as a domestic terrorist because they said in the Constitution that the president can only serve 2 terms. He referenced the Constitution. He must be a sovereign citizen. He must be a domestic terrorist. He goes away. Yeah, that's screwed up, dude. We need to fix that mess. Y'all need to put frickin' Ron Paul in office. That's the best I can tell for you. I mean, we need to get together on this and clean this house. Just like I said in the woodpile video, we need to take some people out back, man. And they need to be straightened out because this is bad. This is just messed up. I mean, the government's there for us. It's not there to step on our necks and, and intimidate us and scare us and extort us. It's just screwed up. I mean, if you don't believe what I'm telling you, then, like I said, I'll do my best to post the link to the FBI's website that shows this bulletin. But you should be able to Google "sovereign citizen, a growing domestic threat to law enforcement," or FBI law enforcement bulletin, sovereign citizens, and it'll probably come back because even in this particular bulletin at the end, it's got footnotes that references about 6 others that it talks about in this bulletin. So there's a lot of information about this whole thing out there. But yeah, this one here actually says that they're domestic terrorists, and then it says anybody that refers to the Bible, the Constitution, or the Supreme Court rulings in days gone by are indicators of a sovereign citizen. So if you don't agree with me, post it below. If you do agree with me, please post it below. I mean, I want to hear what you got to say. So, like I said, don't believe what I said at face value. Go look for it yourself and see if what I'm telling you is accurate. Because the way I'm reading it, it is. So, if y'all can do any better, I'm open to suggestions. But for right now, from what I can see, this don't look good. Yeah, I appreciate your time, and y'all have a good evening. We'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.